Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Also don't forget, I am giving away £1,000. The video explaining how you can win that money is up here somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be. If you do want to enter, you only have until midnight tonight to do so, and then that's that. It is just one question. We can get that money out to anywhere in the world, so whether that be bank transfer, Cash App or PayPal. And good luck to all of you that want to enter. I will announce the winners on Tuesday, and I'll get that money out to you Tuesday evening. Remember, it's £500 for the first place, and second and third get $250 each. So good luck to all of you that have entered. And again, look, midnight tonight, that is it. So don't try and like 12:01, 12:02. No, midnight tonight, and that is it. The video, as I say, is up here somewhere, or was up there somewhere, explaining how you guys can enter. All right, let's see what there is to talk about today. Big fight on the weekend in the heavyweight division, Zhilei Zhang versus Joe Joyce. This has been the savior of the heavyweight division, because the heavyweight division this year has been trash, like the worst I can remember in years, if not ever. Honestly, it's been disgraceful. We've only had one world heavyweight title fight, and that was controversial. Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. The number one in the division hasn't fought yet this year. Obviously, that's Tyson Fury. And when he does fight, is that a boxing match? I'm not quite sure. Anthony Joshua has had fights that we didn't really want to see this year. He's not going to fight Wilder. Talking of Wilder, Wilder hasn't fought this year. Andy Ruiz Jr. hasn't fought this year. Martin Bakole, I don't think, has fought this year. Frank Sanchez had one fight, a gimme, against a guy who had 10 defeats. It has been trash apart from this. This was good. This first time round was exciting. It was entertaining. It had me on the edge of my seat. And I guess no one predicted this outcome, right? I mean, that Joe Joyce would be stopped. The fight was stopped. He got stopped. I remember when Joe Joyce got hurt in this fight, I was like that. I was like, get the fuck out of it. Joe Joyce can be hurt. Because he had this kind of aura of someone that could walk through anything. Literally walk through anything. And I think he dined out on that a bit too much as well. Joe Joyce in that fight entered the ring almost like this was the first time he knew Zhilei Zhang was a southpaw. It's almost as though they'd done no southpaw sparring, and Joe Joyce had never seen a southpaw before, which is obviously incorrect, because I mean, we know at least he fought Alexander Usyk, right? If he fought one, at least we know he fought one, and that was Usyk. But it was embarrassing. Like, he just couldn't get away from Zhilei Zhang's left hand. Couldn't get away from it. And I was like, Jesus Christ, move your head, man. And I think, again, he dined out on the fact that he had this granite chin and he couldn't be hurt. And Zhilei Zhang certainly hurt him a few times as well. So I'm not quite sure how this fight's going to play out again. I am going to do a few videos in the lead up to it. We'll probably do a live watch along on Saturday. I'll announce that tomorrow or Wednesday. I have something booked in for Saturday. They're just confirming it now. So if that doesn't get confirmed, then we're definitely doing a live watch along, because I'm really looking forward to this one. Again, as I said, I think it's the savior of the heavyweight division this year. Will it be repeat or revenge? One thing I will say about this fight, although the fight was stopped because of that gruesome eye, Joe Joyce was starting to get to Zhang, I thought. I think it was starting to get to him, and I thought Zhang was starting to tire a little bit. Maybe Zhang was finding his second wind, but I thought Zhang was starting to get a bit tired. So I guess the questions are, can Joe Joyce avoid that left hand? Have they got in good southpaw sparring? Hopefully the answer, if you're a Joe Joyce fan, is yes. And has Zhang got enough gas in the tank at 40, and what is he, nearly 20 stone, to keep going if this goes past 6 or 7? I don't know, but I'm very intrigued. Two top 10 guys. The winner of this, obviously, clearly is a top 5 heavyweight. Clearly, maybe even higher. But yeah, big fights ahead for the winner. The loser, especially if it's Joe Joyce, I don't know. I mean, look, still great fights out there for them, but in terms of those very big fights that they won, I don't know. It's a bit of a steep hill to climb, but really looking forward to that one. I think Anthony Yarde is on the undercard of this fight. He's fighting a no one, which is disappointing, very disappointing. I don't know why Yarde does this. Every time Yarde, I'll say every time, when Yarde had that Kovalev defeat, he went straight back down to fighting a guy that is clearly better than. And I feel like at this stage of Yarde's career, especially when we see Yarde compete against Kovalev and Beterbiev and put up good performances, he doesn't need to drop like that. Doesn't need to go that far down. I mean, he can stay there or thereabouts. But It's good to see Anthony Yarde back, and hopefully he can be in some big fights in 2024. Did you guys see Shakur Stevenson's interview? Shakur Stevenson sat down. I can't remember their names, but I don't know if you guys seen it. Shakur Stevenson's wearing purple. He's in a ring doing an interview, and he's talking about the fact that Frank Martin, he's talking about a few things, but he spoke about Frank Martin and the fact that the fight kind of fell off. And he called Frank Martin every single word under the sun. I love Shakur Stevenson, one of my favorite fighters. I love him as a character as well. I like that fighters are quite outspoken like he is. It's refreshing to see. But that being said, he can't, like, the fights aren't happening right now, the big fights, because of a split, purse splits, right? He's not happy with purse splits, so unfortunately big fights aren't happening. He might have to take a hit somewhere. He might have to take a hit. Like, Devin Haney offered him 75-25. I think Shakur's admitted that. Devin Haney's admitted that as well. It's out there. Shakur didn't take that. I think that's a mistake. I think that's a big mistake. And I get it. Shakur Stevenson might think I'm the bigger draw. I get it. But sometimes you have to take a hit. If you believe in yourself, like I think the way Shakur believes in himself, the way Shakur's fans believe in him, you take that fight, because you know what? If you beat him, A, you become undisputed, and B, second time round, the rematch, you take the lion's share. You take the lion's share, and then you almost become a star as well. You become a star because you're beating a fellow star. You take that hit. The fact that he isn't having these fights because of money is a bit of a problem for me, because Devin Haney was a fight we really wanted to see, and then the Frank Martin fight we can't wanted to see. This Santos fight I have no interest at all. I mean, I'll be interested because it's Shakur Stevenson, but I have no real interest. It's not a fight that we're going to look back on in 3 years and say, oh, it's Santos, in terms of a resume CV filler. So he's got to take these fights. Like the Frank Martin one, and I get it, right? You offer Frank Martin 75-25, he kind of agrees, and then he goes back on his word and asks for 50-50. Let's get back to the drawing table and maybe let's iron out a 60-40. I want to see a Frank Martin fight. I want to see a Devin Haney fight. The fact these fights ain't happening because of money at this stage of Shakur's career is a problem. It's a problem. It really is. And again, I think he's going to have to take a hit. And I think he can take a hit now. Shakur's what, 25, 26? He can take a hit now, because I believe Shakur's going to be making 8 figures in a couple of years. I think he's going to be that guy. So take a hit now, make these fights, and I don't know, be celebrated. Be celebrated, because right now, I mean, again, you're fighting Santos next. You're fighting Santos, and Santos might have, taken the money you wanted him to take, but it gives a fuck about that fight. It's true though. Who cares? Who cares about that fight? I mean, Devin Haney's fighting Regis Prograis. I care about that fight. I don't care about Shakur Stevenson versus this Santos kid. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's just disappointing that these fights aren't happening for Shakur based on money and purse splits. Because again, I think Shakur is going to be making millions, multi-millions in a couple of years. Endorsements, the lot. Because again, he's that character. And I think he's, I think he'll be the face of boxing in a couple of years' time. And you won't even have to worry about purse splits then, because he'll be making so much money. Just my thoughts on it. Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. I read somewhere, and I don't know how true this is, that the rematch, I think I've done a video about the rematch a couple of weeks ago, but that Terence would only take the rematch 147 pounds. Now, I don't believe this to be true. Terence hasn't said anything. I've gone onto his social media pages and had a look at them, and most time Terence, although it's quite cryptic, he leaves a message. He hasn't done anything. This will surprise me. If someone from Terence's camp has leaked this, the only reason I think Terence is doing this is to kind of force Errol's hand in the purse splits. Although I almost feel like this should have been decided with rematch clauses already. But that's the only thing. I think Terence is almost saying, no, fight at 147, and then Errol has to budge, saying, okay, I'll give you a few more million or whatever. You can take a bit more of a percentage in the pot. Let's go to 154. Terence says, okay, let's do it. Because this fight has still make a lot of money, but I think this fight has very little intrigue at 147. Very little intrigue. The intrigue is the size game. The intrigue is the size game, because the story in the lead up to the fight and after the fight was that Errol's struggling to make weight. And if this fight were to happen at a weight higher, maybe Errol can be a bit better, a bit more refreshed. That's how you sell the second fight. Just rolling the dice again at 147 when the first fight wasn't that competitive. I just don't see how people are going to be interested in that. I mean, look, we'll still watch it, right? Because it's Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. We're still going to watch it. But at 154, it has a lot more intrigue to it. It does. And by the way, I mean, Terence struggles to make 147 as well. I was listening to Terence Crawford on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he spoke about 147, that it's quite tight for him as well. So, I mean, Terence would love to fight at 154. So I think Terence should just call in Errol's bluff to get a bit more of that. And eventually, I think this fight will happen, 154 pounds. It's a shame that I don't think the fight's going to happen this year. September now? I doubt it. And it means that it'll probably roll over until May next year, which is very, very disappointing. No decision on this fight will be made, though, until September 30th, until Canelo versus Charlo. Because if you're Terence, you're waiting on that. You're waiting on that. That being said, I mean, if there's a rematch clause, there's a rematch clause. Contractually, you're obliged. Once Errol says, okay, I want to do this again, surely Terence is contractually obliged to do it again. Surely. And some will say maybe he should do it again because Errol's the one that kind of threw him a bone, right? So we'll see. We'll see. But look, if the rematch does happen, it's definitely at 154. It's not at 147. 147 helps no one, especially considering that Terence wants to go up to 168 anyway. That's what he's been saying, right? So why would you like limit your body to make 147 again? Why would you squeeze your body into that frame when eventually you know you want to go up and fight some of the big boys at 168? So it will be 154. Don't listen to the rumors. No chance. Frank Warren, I think there is going to be a shootout in Fury versus Ngannou. Next. But honestly, my little rant about the heavyweight division, what a joke though, isn't it? Honestly, a joke. When you think about it, Andy Ruiz hasn't fought this year. And he only fought once last year. Hasn't fought this year. Obviously, Dillian Whyte, because of his situation, hasn't fought this year. It's crazy when you think about Wilder. All the top guys haven't, like, it's so inactive. Embarrassingly inactive. But hopefully this fight delivers. And hopefully we get some good news about fights in December. Be interesting to see what AJ does. Very interesting to see. Look, it's not going to be Wilder. I've given up hope on that, especially in December. But it's interesting to see who he does fight in December. Because I don't know. I mean, Bacoli would be very good, but I don't think they're going to do that. Let's have a look at Benson's Twitter page and see if there's anything. Yeah, Benson talking about the 147 situation as well. I doubt it very, very much. Yeah, nothing really on Benson's Twitter page. All right, guys, girls, that was a very quick video then, wasn't it? One second, very quickly. Bob Arum, Fury Usyk fight won't be hard to make. Could happen as soon as December. Doubt it. I mean, look, if Fury gets past Ngannou the way I think he will get past Ngannou, which is not getting out of first gear, then he should be fresh to go. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Final one here. Regis Prograis. That undisputed shit really don't matter. It depends on who you beat. Agreed. Agreed. I agree with this. I agree. I mean, there's two ways to become undisputed, isn't there? There's to pick up all the belts, right? There's to fight a killer, like Terence said when he fought Errol, and become undisputed. So again, pick up all the belts separately, like Alexander Usyk did. Go around and literally beat every single champion. Do what Errol Spence and Terence Crawford were doing, killer versus killer. Or, and this is no diss to Devon, it isn't. Or you can fight Kambosos. I mean, what's the, you know, of all those routes I've just said, so killer versus killer, beating every single champion, or someone collects the belts and you go and beat them. A bit like Jermaine Taylor did with Hopkins. So it's true. It's true. It depends on who you beat. I 100% agree with it. Don't get me wrong. Undisputed is undisputed and you'll get your credit. I mean, I have Devin Haney as a pound for pounder, so I'm giving him his plaudits. But there are ways to do it. There are different... The undisputed should be with an asterisk. Like, okay, you became undisputed. How? Who did you beat? Did you go around and beat every single champion? Did you face a killer in like one of the biggest fights? Or did you somehow just get a Kambosos-like person? No disrespect to Kambosos like him, but come on. Come on. All right, guys, girls, peace and up.